It's a very subtle art called ad-libbing. Cool. Corey's using names right now. That's the story of Jesus. What? That's the story of Jesus. Corey! Oh my God, Brian's back. How are you, sir? Have a rough day?
No.
Oh, okay. Corey's doing his interpretive quiet man without the combat.
No, I need the TV to be turned down, but the remote's over by the TV.
Well, use your Jedi mind trick. We know you've got it.
I'm trying. Can't you see my arm stretched out?
I was wondering if that's what you were doing. That's not the sound they make.
I don't know. I've heard that sound in Star Wars before, right?
Sounds more like that Chacarone song from about 15 years ago. That I think I'm probably the only one who gets that reference, so I won't belabor the point.
Smart move.
Oh. So did you finish Borderlands, Moose?
I'm on the last fight right now.
Yeah.
Only got like a quarter of its health to go.
Oh, okay. Oh, is it paused?
Mm-hmm. Well, the
Nice.
PS4 is in rest. So
Nice.
probably finish it tonight.
Woo!
Yeah! Let's do this!
Yay!
Matt, at least pretend you're excited to be here.
I mean, I just got hit with like a just wave of tires.
You want
And I'm
some?
looking at-
You want some?
No, I'm good. I've got a big thing of coffee. And I just had a double shot.
Red Bull, you must.
What's that episode of Family Guy where he's trying to feed the Magnum PI characters through the TV? You want your pork and beans, Tom Selleck? He's just like spooning food on. Am I the only one that gets that reference too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You guys never watch Family Guy?
I do, but I've never watched Magnum PI. So
You don't. Well, it's a Family Guy reference, like the Magnum PI.
I don't memorize every episode of Family Guy, dude.
Neither do I.
Although I did watch the latest South Park episode, which was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, I haven't
Because
watched
there's
it in
literally a
while.
part in the episode where they're like, fuck South Park. I don't even like any of these people anymore. I hate working here. Let's leave. I was like, oh, tell me how you really feel, Randy.
I mean,
they've been doing it for what, 20 something years now?
yeah, almost 25 years.
That's a long.
I mean, considering like how they started, where they eventually went and where they are now, like it's still surprising they've lasted this long.
It's true. I feel that is true.
Okay. I think I'm in a place where we can start. How about y'all?
Hold on. Start recording. We're recording now.
Okay.
I mean, we're live, but we're recording
Right.
now.
Oh, you know what? No, I'm not in a place. I need to get to the YouTube chat. Hang on one second. Sorry.
Woo! Podcasting.
Podcasting.
Broadcast dashboard, as they say. That thing. That thing.
For a song called Piano Man, the dude with the harmonica won't shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Oh, Corey doesn't listen to music. He won't get that joke.
That's an Elton John
Oh,
reference.
I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, is that Billy Joel or is that
No.
is that Billy Joel, Moose?
Piano Man, yes.
Yeah. Well, I know the song Piano Man, but I'm like, where is the harmonica in Piano Man?
He plays the harmonica a lot in it.
He's got it strapped to his face like Darth
Oh
Vader.
shit! Yeah, he does. Oh my god.
That's
I'm
hence
like-
the joke.
Yeah.
He's got it strapped to his face like
Well,
Darth
because
Vader.
all I was thinking, because I think what stands out to me the most in that song is actually like it's really good and smart piano playing and use of like notes across the piano, because it could definitely Billy Joel can definitely oversaturate his piano to a point where it's nauseating, and like that, like I fucking forget about the harmonica in that song.
Harmonica.
Yeah. Fuck, I should. Jeez.
Harmonicas, am I right?
Okay, so I'm ready to start whenever you all are.
I'm here and ready as I will ever be.
Which is, you've got your Switch and you're ready for Moose and I to talk. Got it.
Oh, my Switch is charging, actually.
While it's in your hands and plugged in. You ready, Moose?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. 3, 2, 1. Take care not to hurt yourself. Beware of the need for help. You might need too much, and people are such. Take care. Please take care. Welcome to Nerds Gone Rogue, episode 165. My name is Matthew Keel. I got a couple friends with me. Moose, in full Brian. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. How are you, man?
I'm doing well, doing well.
I don't
Corey?
know. I don't know. The moose is starting to grow back. I see a little bit of it there.
I mean,
Kinda
it's
looks
good.
like-
That
it
ain't
kinda
shaved
looks like-
since Friday.
It kind of looks like when Matt doesn't shave for 3 months.
Yeah,
so.
that's about right. Yeah.
You know, that's cold, man.
It's true. No, it's not cold. It's just the truth. That other voice is Corey. Corey, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. We are Nerds Gone Rogue.
That's
You can
us.
find everything we do at nerdsgonerogue.com. You can find us on social media at Nerds Gone Rogue on Twitter, at Nerds Gone Rogue _official on Insta. We've got a Discord group. We've got a Facebook group, fb.com/group/Nerds Gone Rogue community. Discord, just search for Nerds Gone Rogue. You'll find us. I know because I've done it. You can find us individually on social media. I am at infinite_rewind. Corey is at Corey in HD713.
That's me.
And Moose is at Sven at SVHENN. And before we go any further, I know we've got a giveaway to talk about, and we've got games, and we've got listener questions. I wanna say something. It's just I'm not gonna make a big deal about this, but Nerds Gone Platinum this past week decided to take a break. I hope they'll be back at some point. At this point we do not know, but our friend Moose here was a big part of that, if not the driving force behind it. And I just want to say that they had a fantastic 118 episode run, and I am proud to still call them friends. And I love those three. I love those three guys, and I realize I'm talking about Moose in like the second or third person, even though he's sitting right there. But I'm just saying, Nerds Gone Platinum. I was very proud to share a network with them, and I miss them. So, but thank you for everything, Jason, Jeff, and of course, Moose. Thank you to all their guests, all of the developers that stopped by to interview, the publisher that was publishing John Wick Hex. That was a good show. It was a good show, and there is a big hole left where Platinum once was, and I hope they come back. We won't really delve into that anymore, but we will just say, hey, listeners, would you like to win the new Call of Duty game that's about to come out in 3 weeks? Because we're giving it away. How do you enter this giveaway, you ask? You have to subscribe to us either on YouTube or a podcast service of your choice. You have to screenshot your subscription and send that to nerdsgoneroguepodcast@gmail.com. That's how you can get one entry. If you write a review on your podcast service of choice, you can get a second entry. And then there's a third entry that I'm forgetting again. Why do I always forget this?
YouTube.
I said YouTube.
Podcast service.
Podcast service. Screenshot.
Rate
Review on the podcast service. Yes.
Yes.
Review on the podcast service. Send all of that to nerdsgoneroguepodcast@gmail.com, and you can get yourself 3 entries to win the next Call of Duty game. And the way people are talking about it, like, it's turned my head a little bit. I'm not a Call of Duty guy, but
some people are.
Some people are, and it sounds really interesting. And plus, they're bringing Spec Ops back, which I'm always down for.
Unless you don't play on PlayStation.
Well, no, there's only one part of that that's not on. There's only one. Like the Spec Ops is going to be on all 3. They've come out and they're like, yeah, people are whining about the wrong thing because it's not like an entire game mode that's completely taken out. It's like one half of one game mode.
Oh,
which is just like, which basically means that gamers need to read the fine fucking print every so often.
Well, I was just going by what I heard off podcasts.
Sure, fair.
I wasn't reading anything because I don't really care about Call of Duty, so I'm not like seeking out this information. I'm just like, oh, podcasts.
It's like, Activision pissing people off. Standard.
To be fair, I trust that maybe I could do this blindly, but I trust that like IGN and Game Informer and those podcasts do their research before they say things. So I just go with what they say.
Well, yeah, I think the one who's done the most is ironically Polygon in this case, considering they tend to operate on a hair trigger at best. So you can win Call of Duty from us. We're going to give it away the Monday before it releases. We will give it away live on the show, and if you are not participating in the show that night, we will send you an email if you win. So. Get your entries in. Time is a ticking.
TikTok.
Nerds Gone Rogue is not on TikTok, and don't ask us to go there because we're not.
We could be, though. Do you want me to be on TikTok? Everybody tweet at me at CoreyNHG713 if you want to see me on TikTok, and I will make a cool TikTok. I'll be a clock, see? Get it? Because it's called TikTok, and I'm a clock.
We got it. Look at someone has been practicing their dad jokes. Moose, how was your weekend, sir?
It was good. A lot of gaming. So I did played some Monster Hunter World Friday night with some friends. Liking it more than I originally did when I first tried it. So that's good. It's just really complex and confusing at first.
So throws a ton at you.
God, it's like I feel like it's worse than trying to figure out World of Warcraft when I first started playing World of Warcraft. But anyways, it's pretty good. Hunted my first monster, so that was good.
Cool.
And then I decided before I try and jump into that world and take a big bite out of that sandwich, I was going to finish Borderlands 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way, when I get tired of Monster Hunter, I just want to take a break, I can start chipping away at the platinum for Borderlands 3.
Okay.
So I am on what I believe to be the last fight. I'm not sure. We'll see. I'll let you know next week after I finish it tonight after the show, because I am not going to go to bed until it's done. Like, until at least this fight is done. If there's going to be any more after this, then I'll just be like, fuck it, I'll do it tomorrow night, you know? But anyways, so, and then played a bunch of Borderlands 3. Cleared out a lot of good stuff. So I'm playing as the Beastmaster, and I was down the tree that had the spider ant, and then I saw a video on how there was still a viable like crit melting build post patch this past week. They patched this past week, and in Flak, the Beast Hunter lost like 25% of his damage on crit hits. But there's a way you could spec where he still does well. And so I respect, and now I have Matt's favorite pet, which is the monkey with the pistol.
The gunky, as I call him.
And it melts faces. So if I could find like an infinity gun, I have an infinity gun, but it's only like level 24. So it's like
only 24.
Yeah, only level 24. I'm level 40, so it's like half my level. So it's not really going to do the damage I needed to. But like, if I could find an infinity gun, meaning infinite bullets, like then I'd just melt faces. Because like the special that your hunter use, you basically like go invisible, and your next three shots are crit hits. Well, I have it spec'd so that I can crit hit. I do extra damage the entire time I'm in the phase mode. If you do your 3 shots, you're out of the phase mode, or the timer runs out. But like, there's a augmenting skill where you can actually have it so that you just stay in the phase the entire time of the period, the length of the cooldown or the timer for the skill, but your crit damage is significantly lessened. Not too much. It goes from like 200% down to like maybe like I think 50%. So, but you get to shoot for longer. Right. So it's nicer when you got multiple targets around. I usually don't burn the skill unless I have a heavy, and then like even heavies with shields, like their shields and a quarter of their health done before I come out of my mode. So it's like a really good skill. And then the monkey, who is called Meat Thief, is his pet name. I wish you can rename your character, but I wish you could rename your pet. So I call him something else. But he call him
Gary.
Yeah, Gary. Anyways, he
classic Gary.
He has a skill where you target an enemy and he throws a radiation barrel at it. Well, at the level,
dude, the monkey throwing a barrel is fucking cool, man.
But
when I saw him pick up that barrel, I'm like, oh my god.
Well, see, that's just in the level. He'll pick up barrels in the level for you and throw them.
Right,
but he has his own skill where he throws a barrel. But I don't know what the shotgun does. Maybe he pulls out some other kind of weapon. But the last mode that I have him in, he has an SMG, and he pulls out a rocket launcher and fires 3 to 3. Yeah, he pulls out a rocket launcher and fires 3 to 4 shots. So, but anyways, so I've been working on that.
I picked the wrong goddamn class.
Yeah, but you got a mech, dude. So that's the class I'm playing next. I want to play Moe's next because I want to get in the mech and have some fun with that. But anyways, so played a bunch of that. Played with Jason a little bit. Got to play with you, Alan, and Jason last night. I played with Alan before you guys got on, and we were having a good time. And then I had to step away. But yeah, it's a lot. It's totally chaotic, completely chaotic 4-player.
Yeah,
Like
when you, I
it's
mean, and that's like the way I love it.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
honestly, like those fights where I'm looking around, I'm like not sure. Like, well, at least when all four of us were playing, I was looking around, and every time I found an enemy, I would end up like seeing you or Jason or Alan just kill it before I could shoot. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm not. I guess I'm just hanging out here.
I guess I'm
But
just keeping my bullets in the gun.
but it reminded, like honestly, it brought me back to Helldivers, where the more chaotic times in that, and I'm like, this is what I want out
Yeah.
of this game, more so than like I've never really wanted that out of a Borderlands game before,
Mhm.
because like the gameplay loop is solid. It's still just shoot something, make something colorful come out of it, and then use that colorful thing for the next thing you shoot.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a good gameplay loop. The gun combat is still really good, and I'm finding myself like if I actually detach the overarching story from it, there are some one-liners that I'm finding more often that get me going. All right, that's all right. That's kind of funny. But I've actually over the past week of like listening to various outlets, because there's still plenty of talk about that game. I'm actually more excited to get through the game and do end game stuff, because people are saying like that's where a lot of what make great is.
Yeah, the mayhem mode.
Yeah, unfortunately, they did the Final Fantasy 13 of like hiding that behind 30 hours of content, which is probably not the smartest thing to have done.
Yeah, but it's a good story though. I like the story so far. So
Yeah, I mean, it's Handsome Jack made me care about him. Like he made me care about whether or not what he had to say about whatever I was doing. Tyreen and her dirtbag brother, I don't give a shit. I like the fact that, like, especially this past weekend, I ran into some old friends from the Borderlands universe, and it was nice to see them again. And I mean, I don't want to talk about it in case like people care about spoilers for Borderlands 3, but seeing the three old characters that we had, I'll use their code names: Meat Slab, Crunk Bunny, and I guess this one gives it away, but Hammy Locks. Yeah, that was.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Birdman.
No, well, Birdman too, but Hammy Locks is still priceless.
Yeah,
It's such a good name. And delivering a bomb ass pizza was a lot of fun. It was nice to see all those folks again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good mission. I like that.
Like, and I still think like if you want some comedy, like the Typhon logs are where it's at. The Typhon logs are genuinely hilarious.
Yeah, and then yeah. I almost spoiled some shit for you, but sorry.
To the point where like I'm thinking Typhon might actually end up pretty high in my best new character this year, because Typhon is some of the things that come out of that dude's mouth are hilarious.
Yeah.
But apart from changing, how was your weekend into game time? What'd you do this weekend, Moose, other than games? Is that it?
Ate some really good brisket yesterday. My brother's
Nice.
birthday was Saturday, so my sister-in-law did Thanksgiving dinner for his birthday.
Okay.
It was delicious.
Must be what he asked for.
No, I think they were doing it because his daughters, my nieces, will be in Pennsylvania for Thanksgiving this year, and so she was like, "Let's have Thanksgiving with them at this time, and we'll have it twice this year." So, anyways, it was
Nice.
good. Other than that, it was pretty relaxing, pretty fun.
Cool. Corey, how was being a dad and a husband this weekend?
It was all right. We went to the zoo yesterday, and what else did we do? Oh, I took my parents to the airport, and then this Friday and Saturday I worked all day. Friday I worked from I worked like 13 hours on Friday, and then Saturday I worked all morning because of we had an inventory. So that's kind of how that went, and yeah, I didn't really get much of a weekend until Sunday. So
Okay.
but yeah, that's kind of my weekend. It was a long one. It's been like a long week.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've spent the better part of the last 2 weeks not being able to hear out of my left ear. I haven't really talked about it because I was actually genuinely worried. I think, huh?
Ear infection?
No, it was well, it ended up being clogged, but it got to the point where like I was trying to do all of the things I would do to declog my ear, and nothing was working. Like it still just it was like if you push on this part of your ear as hard as you can, we're to the point where you cannot hear silence. Like it was scary. I mean, early on in Nerds Gone Rogue, I think we got the question. I remember saying like I would go blind. I would choose blindness any day over the week over being deaf, just because I love music so much. And I was genuinely worried that like my left ear would never hear again. But the other day, spent upwards of an hour in the bathroom, and a gigantic slug-sized chunk of earwax came out of my ear, and now I can hear again. So that was cool.
Well, that's good, man.
Yeah. So now I hear both your wonderful voices in both ears, and I could not be happier about it. Had a relatively busy Sunday. I made waffles from scratch for the first time.
I did see that. They look delicious, man.
They were really good. They were. I will say this: like the recipe I used didn't call for any like flavoring of the actual waffle, so like they were bland. But like I think I will use that and try and add to it to get a better flavor out of it. But holy shit, I did not expect to have near as much fun as I did doing that. It was kind of a big step for me because I'm not a cook. I know how to make very few things, and the things I know how to make are not a challenge. I've never used like waffle mix before. This is my first time ever making a waffle. Like apart from like when I would do the frozen waffles when I was a teenager.
Right.
But yeah, I beat egg whites by hand, and that was fun and exhausting. Reba loved the waffles, and it actually made like a lot. It made like 5, but each we had the recipe calls for making 5 waffles. We actually made 6. Both of us had 1 and were basically full after that. So I froze the other ones, but yeah, I'm glad I did that because that was a lot of fun, and now I've decided that I'm going to try and do that again. I want to make sure I get completely comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
Before I move on to my next thing, and plus I like waffles a lot, so I think, and I told Reba to text my mom and sister that I did that, and while they were like, "Oh yeah, we like waffles in this house," but like it was kind of a dismissive reaction because I think if my parents are ever like in the same room with me, they're kind of surprised. There's like this quiet surprise that I've managed to move 1,000 miles away and survive and not come crawling back home. Mm-hmm. But when I did this, they're like, "Oh yeah, we like waffles." I think my mom specifically understands that like she taught me like how to cook and survive, which no disrespect, she really didn't, but that's more because I wasn't interested in learning. And like I don't think any of them understood like what kind of a big step that was for me, which was kind of expected, despite hoping for just a little bit more. but that's okay. I'll make waffles for them when they come next and blow their goddamn minds. Take that, Mom and Dad. Love you. And then what was I gonna? There was something else that happened.
Now did you use a waffle iron? Use waffle iron for it?
Oh yeah, a waffle maker. Yeah, I'm not shaping that shit myself. Hell no.
So, have you ever put cinnamon rolls in the waffle maker? Try that one more.
I figure based on everything I just said, there's a good chance that I've not done
Well,
that.
maybe Reba did it. Okay, I don't know. I guess
I can't speak for her. I'm not going to
as your household. So what you need to do is do that one morning for breakfast. Just throw them in there, let them cook like normal, like they do. Oh, they're so tasty.
Cinnamon roll, like are you talking like the Pillsbury?
So you know the Pillsbury cinnamon rolls. You just put them in there. You could put 2 in. If you get the smaller ones, you could do 4 at a time, and just drop it down, lock it, let it cook till they're golden and crispy. And then also, if you would like to make it for your sundaes, use a brownie mix and make brownie waffles for ice cream sundaes.
Oh,
it is thebomb.com.
That sounds amazing, actually.
So you can perfect your waffle making, move right into cinnamon rolls and cinnamon waffles, and then move right into your brownie waffles for dessert for dinner one day.
I am writing this down.
But yeah, Kelly got me into that. Oof, it's good stuff. We haven't had it in a while. Maybe I'll make it one morning for breakfast. The cinnamon rolls. I mean, I ain't gonna judge anybody if they're eating brownies for breakfast, but hey, live your life.
Right. Okay.
Sometimes brownies are good for breakfast.
Brownies are
good at all times of the day. My stomach does not discriminate against brownies at any time of the day.
I agree with that statement. I just, for me, they're a little sweet for the morning. So I'd probably be like half a brownie.
Yeah.
Or if it's the only thing I got, like I'll do, like usually I cut the sweetness in a brownie if I have to have it for breakfast with like black coffee. You know what I mean? Like I'll eat it with black coffee and it'll kind of take the sugary edge off.
Like sweet and bitter, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I did something else that I'm forgetting. Oh, I got my passport back, so now I'm ready to go to Scotland. So I'm excited for that. Other than that, I think we can go into game time. Moose, did you play anything else other than Borderlands or Monster Hunter?
No.
Negative? Okay, cool. Corey, how about you? What you been playing, bud?
I've been playing a little bit more Link's Awakening.
Okay.
I'm not.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he'll be right there.
His mic unplugged. You're muted right now, Corey.
Muted, bro.
Corey, you're muted.
Can you hear us?
There he goes.
Yes.
There he is.
Am I alive? Am I here?
You're back.
Well, you're here.
All right, good.
Whether or not you're alive, who could say?
I did it, everybody. I did it all by myself. I figured it out. Played some Link's Awakening. I'm just getting to the 3rd dungeon. I haven't really played as much as I've wanted to. And then last night, Jesse and I tried to play some Gears 5 because he just got back from vacation, and we had trouble connecting with each other, so we just ended up playing some Overwatch instead.
Okay.
But other than that, Fire Emblem grind is still happening.
Just finish the game.
Nah, I like this. It's a good time.
Let the man have his, his game.
Why don't you go play Binding of Isaac again, Matt?
Well.
Why don't you go Spelunky again?
Now, whoa. He's beaten both of those games.
Yeah.
Aren't you working towards beating the game?
Mm-hmm. I'm grinding so I can beat the last level without trying hard.
Okay. Fair. No, I can respect that. JRPG, yeah. I can totally respect that.
Yeah,
that's kind of all I've been playing. I haven't really had a lot of time to play games. I've been trying to do too much, and it's hasn't allowed me to play games. So
So
Yeah.
I
Great.
rolled
This is a great podcast, guys. I'm sorry.
I rolled credits on Untitled Goose Game,
Yeah.
and that game is in my top 10, like guaranteed for game of the year. And
Ooh, a guarantee, he says.
guaranteed, like I don't know where yet, just because there's still a couple of things I have to finish, including another game I started this weekend. But this, like, for what this game is, and it's a very short experience. I mean, I feel like if you extend it to its absolute length, you could probably get 10 hours out of it, and that's if you really drag this thing out. But I feel like most folks will probably get somewhere in the 4 to 5 hour range out of it. But this game, there's very little, if any, wasted space. The puzzles in it are fantastic, and most of the time, like I know we've had this conversation on the show where if you have a choice to be good or bad, overwhelmingly the idea is to most people choose the good side of it. The fact that you have really no choice other than to be kind of a nuisance to this entire neighborhood. There's something very liberating about that.
Oh, nice.
It's like plus like the doing that and realizing that you are gaining something just by being a complete nuisance it's definitely, in my wheelhouse, because I love to fuck with things, as my wife will tell you. But this game is made with as minimal of an art style as it really is. Like, there is so much attention to detail here, and I think all of that. I mean, that argument kind of begins and ends with the goose. Just the way it walks is kind of I say funny, but it's not like I'm watching this goose wander around and I'm just chuckling to myself. But it's kind of like if you watch an old Charlie Chaplin movie, like the way that his tramp character just sort of takes up his share of the screen, doing just his mannerisms before he's like trying to look towards the camera for a laugh. Like there's a genuine like funniness to that, even if you're not just side splitting. One of my favorite little touches in the game is if you pick something up and whatever character you're around doesn't like that you've picked that up, they'll come and take it from you. But I love the way that the goose reacts to that. Like, it's not because sometimes, in video games, whatever character will they'll blink for a moment because they've had a life point taken away, but really it's just like they're just sort of standing where they're at. The goose tends to make eye contact with whoever took the thing from it, to the point where it's just like, oh, don't worry, I'll be back for that. Like there's certain incredulity about it that's just breathtaking. And the fact that they programmed it that and it comes off every single time someone takes something from you, like I think that's kind of a beautiful thing. I think it's probably very similar to making Trico from The Last Guardian feel like a living thing. It's one of those things that it seems very insignificant, but it's actually very difficult to do. And the Goose Game is full of that without, being a 15 to 20 hour AAA experience. And then if nothing else, if anybody decides just not to play that, just go on Twitter and look at the memes that come from this game. They are gold. I was in the Giant Bomb group and someone posted pictures of the goose just in various positions, but then added a whole bunch of protest text to it. Like there's one where he's carrying a radio and he's like reject fascist propaganda, and I'm like, it's like perfect. And then when you know like the goose is just there to be annoying, it's gold. But yeah, Untitled Goose Game is it's pure joy, and I would wholeheartedly recommend both y'all and anybody that might listen, try it. I mean, right now, I think on Switch it's $15. I don't know what it is on PC, but hopefully, I mean, if that came to PS4, I would buy it full price in a heartbeat. It is a marvel, without being like grand.
Nice.
So check out Goose Game. Still playing. I figured out a rhythm with Daemon X Machina that I really like. I think trying to play that game in like long chunks is actually kind of a disservice, because really I think either I'm coming to a point where I'm going to just be absorbed in this story, or it's just going to keep sort of slowly ramping up into kind of nothing, the way a lot of anime does for me. Because I feel like a lot of anime I've watched, especially most of the things that people tend to hold in high regard, it seems to just ramp up but then never pay off. So I either anticipate this story doing that, or it pays off and I'm just in. But this game, like the mech fights in the game are really, really fun. It's plenty of verticality. I think the color palettes that they use throughout the many different worlds I've been are actually beautiful to look at. If you spend a lot of time on the ground, I can see why one could argue that it doesn't really move that well. But also, like, I think the point is you are essentially a person controlling a gigantic, unwieldy or pseudo unwieldy machine. And I found that the upgrade paths that are in it, you can upgrade the character or you can upgrade the arsenal or the mech. But I feel like this fighting system is really fluid, really easy to control. It's not precise in any way, but I think if you were trying to do something super precise on Switch, that's not necessarily the way to go. Especially considering if I get a lot of enemies on screen, I do see some frame rate drops. Nothing that really affects me per se, but I could see why someone would have a problem with it.
And you're just playing in handheld?
I'm just playing in handheld at the moment.
I wonder how those look in dock.
Are you about to ask me if I got the Hori thing, Corey?
Yeah, because Todd's been posting pictures of his giant Switch controllers now. Every time I see it, it makes me laugh, but it also makes me kind of want to get them because I
kept meaning to pre-order that. I did not, and I've thought about getting it since, but also like I feel like I'm okay in handheld mode as is. I know that like a lot of people tend to have their discrepancies with Switch handheld mode, and I'm like, that's fine. I'm not going to say that, well, if I can do it, you should be able to, because that's reductive and shitty. But Daemon X Machina is a surprisingly alluring game for me this year. Like I'm having way more fun with it than I thought I would. Like, and I you know, and over the past year and change, I've rekindled like the interest in mech stuff. Considering like I mean I didn't have a ton of it before, just because I had seen like Robotech and some Gundam, and I'd heard about Evangelion, but honestly, if you talk to someone who's an Evangelion fan and you don't really know a lot about anime, you're more likely to never want to watch Evangelion just because of the fanaticism around it. But having watched that earlier this year, like I feel like this is taking a lot from that, as well as, you know, Gundam and Robotech and Macross Macross is part of Robotech, but we don't need to go there.
So are you, just quick, are you familiar with Tribute Games?
No, I am not.
They did Flint Hook. They did Curses and Chaos.
I know Flint Hook.
There's another game. There's some other bunch of other. Oh, I think they did Mercenary Kings.
Okay.
But they're coming out with a game called Panzer Paladin, where it's a 8-bit side-scrolling mech game where it's kind of like Gato Roboto, where you can get out of the mech and do stuff. So like Blaster Master as well. Yeah. But it looks really good. I'll shoot you the link, man. You should check it out. It's definitely on my radar. But if you're liking mech games, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I was talking to Jason Marshall about Gato Roboto earlier today. I feel like this is something that this is like an itch that I've wanted. There's actually speaking of Monster Hunter, there's some Monster Hunter-ness to this, because if you take down other mech enemies, you can resource them for parts, which has been I like doing that, but also it's kind of unintelligible as to what you're getting. You kind of have to know what you need to develop new technology for your mech. So there's a lot in this game. It if you choose to engage with it, it can it can get pretty daunting. Like I've kind of just been going into it piecemeal. Like each new thing that I'm allowed to do, I look at and say, okay, maybe I'll come back to that. Mm-hmm. Now, when I've come back to like the body modification stuff, like that makes your character a little bit stronger, and that translates to them being able to control the mech better. I found that to be rather rewarding. The weapon stuff, certain weapons, you know, definitely feel different. Like sniper rifles and machine guns feel different. Shotguns feel different. Assault rifles feel different. But I'm still trying to look into like developing new stuff on that, because I'm trying to get, like, I started with on my left shoulder this missile launcher that launches like a barrage of missiles, and all of them lock on to things. That I actually love. I would love a way to make that more powerful, because I'm probably like 20 missions in, and I'm still using the one at the beginning. So I'd like to make that a little stronger, so I'm taking things out faster.
Yeah, there's got to be a way for you to make that powerful.
No, yeah, and I mean, I know there probably is. I probably just haven't seen it, and because this game up front gives you a ton, I probably missed it. So I'm just like every time I finish a mission, I go back and look and see what I can do to make that stronger. But that game's really fun. I am now at the point where I am going to platinum Remnant from the Ashes.
Woohoo!
I am I all I have to do is return something to a character in the game, and I'm literally at the checkpoint in front of that character, but I'm going to make that my 130th platinum, and I'm at 127 right now. So I'm going to probably get a couple of rat games, just platinum them in like an hour, and then make that 130. Jason, he and I have been playing that over the past few days. He's last I knew, he's 2 trophies, and one of his trophies is super easy to go get, and the other one kind of requires some RNG, but which has been kind of a bear for him. And I feel bad, because when he and I did adventure mode for the first time, I got that and another randomly generated thing in the same world, like in the same like dungeon. Mm. He's like, oh, so I should be able to do that really easily. And he's re-rolled it like 15 times and not gotten it, which makes me feel kind of bad. But keep plugging. We'll keep plugging. He'll get it. I am now level 28 in Borderlands 3. And I think a lot of what I could add to what Moose has said, it would basically be repetitive. The loop in that game's still fun. I'll say that. And then I started Control.
Ooh. What are you thinking so far?
Well, if I'm at the first proper boss, the first named boss, like there's a couple encounters early on that indicate that a certain enemy is a bit stronger, but it's definitely kind of like you need to get over this in order to get better at the combat. Having only gotten to the first boss, like I think this might be something that puts a real serious challenge to Sekiro as my game of the year.
Ooh, okay.
This game is doing some things and going some places right off the bat, and I'm like, okay, it was always a game I wanted to play, but like this is a game that I'm probably going to play everything they do with this game. I did not play Quantum Break. I played a little bit of the first Alan Wake. I never played American Nightmare. But holy shit, like if someone would have told me this game was coming from Remedy, I might have been following everything they did prior. This game is amazing. Like the combat, I haven't even unlocked everything, and I think the combat is some of the most intuitive, like organically, organic. How do I want to say this? Intuitive, yes, but like the combos are just.
It flows well.
Yes, thank you, thank you. That it is like having only unlocked like the ability to pick things up and throw them at people. Like doing that from the melee to the gun is such an elegant thing. This game, and I think this game has a visual style that is cool as shit. That I mean, forget the muted color palette and the use of red and orange. I like the way that they use the cinematic technique of mise-en-scène, like where the way that they frame up shots. Essentially, some of the choices they make are just eerie and bold and so like different than a AAA studio generally even thinks about. And I can't wait to play more of it. It is like I like playing Remnant. I was playing Neo with Ahmed earlier today, and like I was kind of every time I popped online, I was like, man, someone else wants to play something else. Why can't I just play Control? And yeah, Control is something special right off the bat.
It's got a good start too. I like the start of it. I really like its story and how things are moving, so I'm looking forward to it unfolding. So yeah, I highly recommend it too.
So I think like I think I'm gonna make a conservative effort to get Remnant off the plate. I'm gonna help Jason finish his platinum there, and then I'm probably just going to get lost in the oldest house in Control, because man, that game is something special already.
If you get through this and you get a chance, you should try Quantum Break, because I think Control is kind of like, in a way, a spiritual successor to what they wanted to do with Quantum Break, in terms of like combat and style and stuff. And I really want to play Control too. I just haven't gotten a chance to.
I think Gerstmann on Giant Bomb, he basically said like, I think Control is what Remedy wanted Quantum Break to be. But they got hindered by Microsoft. Well, I don't want to say Microsoft, but like Microsoft's messaging both around that game and
that's a good point,
and around that console. Because like, I'll be honest, I did not know what Quantum Break was until 6 months after it came out.
I mean, I didn't even know what Quantum Break was until I was like halfway through the game.
I didn't know what the gameplay was. Because all I had seen were the TV shit from E3 that was just confusing as all hell.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize it was a third person like action game until 6 months after it was out. And I think the reason I knew that is because I think Derek Teague posted an image in Fathers of the Grind. I'm like, wait, what is that game? And then I actually went and looked at some gameplay. I'm, Quantum Break's a third-person action game. There was like no real messaging around that. Now, granted, I wasn't paying as close of attention as I could, but like you'd think if that's what you're selling, you kind of want to show that. And as a passing interest haver such as myself should at least know that, where all I knew was it was a game that worked with TV in weird ways. But if Quantum Break was attempting what Control is, I think Remedy did the right thing in terms of actually like saying, no, we're not going to fix Quantum Break. We're going to make something more singular and better. I think that was probably the right call here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this game is this game has already got my mind going places. In fact, this game is doing something very similar to what Blasphemous did, where in terms of like I was seeing all the influence of religious iconography and the use of like saints and allusion to saints and penance and the darker side of religion and the Spanish Inquisition. Like, this is doing that, but like there's a certain Twin Peaksness to it. There's X-Files stuff to it. And I just want to say, because this is super early in the game, the attention to detail that Remedy did here. There's something really cool early on. Like, you walk into the first thing you're supposed to do is go to the director's office, like the leader of this corporate or this section of government called the Federal Bureau of Control. You see him shot on the floor in his office, and it looks like a suicide. But before you get there, you see pictures, like portraits of the director, and it's that guy. Eventually, the first time you meet an NPC that talks to you, she basically says, "Oh, you're the new director." But the next time you see a portrait, it's your character's face. Like, it's changed that quickly. So, and that automatically just sort of shows you like what this game is. It's not like oh, well, now that the audience knows this, we have to change it. It is there's something very, very different in play, and the fact that they went that far with it already is something special, and I can't wait for more of that. So, play Control based on my 2 hours with it. Play it. I can't wait. I can't wait to play more. And I actually, yeah. I don't think and then anything else I played? Oh, Reba and I played more Castle Crashers. That game's great. If you haven't played that, why? And yes, you should, because it's very good. I think that's it for game time.
Game time.
Game time. Woo-woo. So now, I think it's time we answer some questions.
Sure.
What do you guys say?
I suppose we can do that.
Okay. If you have a question, you can email us, nerdsgoneroguepodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter @nerdsgonerogue. Join our Facebook community, facebook.com/groups/nerdsgonerogue community, or our Discord, which is go to Discord, search for Nerds Gone Rogue. You find us. First up, Lacey McCullum. Hello. I'm a newer listener here and am very much enjoying the podcast. I have a question for you.
Oh boy.
What are your thoughts on Apple Arcade, Xbox Game Pass, EA Access, and other gaming subscription services? How is it good for developers more aptly, especially the little guy? Well,
I mean, I think it's beneficial to consumers, especially because like Apple Arcade is really cheap and EA Access is super cheap.
mhm.
I think if you pay for a year of EA Access, it's only $2.50 a month, which is ridiculous considering, like, I mean, PlayStation doesn't really have a huge library, but the Xbox has all the backwards compatible stuff, which is like Mass Effect, Dragon Age, old Star Wars games, new Star Wars games. I think they just added Anthem to it, which is like, you know, say what you will, but if you pay for that service, you get it for free now. So,
Yeah.
Battlefront 2, like, I think, and EA is a little bit different because, like, you know, they're a publisher and they can do what they want with that, and they don't have any, like, third party games on there or anything. But, you know, Xbox Game Pass is a tremendous value at $10 a month, I think. But
Yeah, it is.
And Apple Arcade at $5 a month is, from what I'm hearing, is like finally a mobile gaming service for real gamers, quote unquote, and like, which is all cool and stuff. But like the deals that these companies are making with the developers of these games, like I want to know that stuff, because like we don't really, we only hear what we hear on other shows or read about or whatever. We're not like, clearly not insider people, right? I mean, we
Right.
just come here to talk about games, but like it does.
Well, and a lot of
is
that information is behind like disclosure agreements and things
Right.
like that.
Right. I'm just
even the insiders might not be privy to it, but
yeah,
like it's
or it's
definitely
like
something
it's all like off the record, keep hush hush type stuff too, you know, like but like how to me, I'm like, this might benefit the publisher or the developer, because Microsoft might be making this deal to have this game launch day and date on Game Pass when it otherwise wouldn't survive publishing the game itself on the store, right? I mean, or you get a game like Rocket League that was free on PlayStation for the first month and it totally blew up, and I think they've actually gone on saying like that first month they like really helped them out, and now they sell the game for what, $20, and they have their Rocket Pass or whatever it's called, and you know, that game totally blew up because it was free and people are still paying for that game. So I mean, I really don't know. I think the one that you should be worrying about the most is the Apple Arcade stuff.
agreed.
Because Apple is paying the developers by time played. Like, it's like download, they get a cut, and then time played, they get more, right? And it's like,
Right.
well, what if you download the game and then never touch it? You just download it to have it, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh boy. And don't get me wrong, there's some great games on there. Like Oceanhorn 2 is on there, which is basically a poor man's Breath of the Wild. I don't know if you...
Overland's on there. Sayonara Wild Hearts is on there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, okay, well, I could go pick up Sayonara Wild Hearts for $12 on Switch, or I'm already subscribed to Apple Arcade. Let's just download it and play it for an hour or two, you know? And well, what do the developers get out of that?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's super it could be super beneficial to smaller devs, but at the same time, it's like there's a lot of games that you know, are actually hurt by these services too, and it's kind of what we talk about with games with Gold and PlayStation Plus too. And it's like, if this game is a 7, a lot of people won't buy it. They'll just be like, I'll wait till it's free on PlayStation Plus or Games with Gold, or I'll wait till it comes to Game Pass, which Shadow of the Tomb Raider is the prime example of that, where it didn't sell well. It was literally on Game Pass 2 months later, 2 months after it came out. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's you gotta just kind of find the balance, I guess. I don't know, but I am kind of concerned about Apple Arcade in terms of the dev side, But I
Yeah.
also think $4.99 a month is a great deal considering
Right.
Mario Kart Tour is also $5 a month,
Mm-hmm.
apparently, on phone with extra stuff. So, again,
Moose?
didn't read about anything about Mario Kart Tour. I'm just hearing that it's kind of a weird
I've
move
heard it's
by Nintendo.
bad.
I heard it's just a stripped down version of Mario Kart where they make you pay for, extra stuff with their microtransactions, and I'm avoid it because I'm not going to play Mario Kart on a freaking phone when I have it from a Switch.
Word.
So that, I think the services are cool. There's some games out there that you want to play, and you're like, man, I can pay for the service and play these couple games in a month, and that's cool. You know what I mean? Like it's a pretty good option. And then they have some Apple Arcade's got some really cool games coming out. They've got Exit the Dungeon from Boys Who Make Enter the Dungeon, which looks really cool, and I can't wait for that to hit other platforms. There's a black and white game by Devolver Digital where you play like a square at a time, and it's a piece of the earth, and it's like your little white character, kind of like Minute, but not.
Mm-hmm.
And that looks really good. I'll get the name of it while we do the next question. But that's coming out on Apple Arcade, and I'm looking forward to that hitting other platforms. Even if it comes to Switch, I'd be like, if it comes to Switch before PS4, I'll pick it up on Switch. I want to play it wherever I can play it as soon as I can because it looks awesome.
Well, I also know you're an Android user. Yes.
Yes, you are correct. I am an Android user.
Now Google has done
They've done their own pass too.
They've done an Android answer. Like, have you looked into that or no?
Now, I haven't really looked into it because I already got enough games going on as it is, and enough monthly stuff. So,
Right.
And also, for those that don't know, like on Android, we have this thing called the Google Rewards survey thing. And so basically, like Google sends you surveys and you answer your questions and you get money from them in your account. And so I basically just buy games with that. But now they have it on iOS. And so now you can answer Google questions. It's basically like where you've been, maybe what you shop for and whatnot. You can totally limit the amount of information you give Google. And like one question, like they'll ask me, I'll go to I'll be in the area of some stuff. And it's funny because every time you'll eventually get trained to where you see that you have a survey, you'll be like, they're going to ask me if I was just at that place I had dinner. And then lo and behold, it's one of the options. So it'll ask you, have you been to this place? And you could say yes. And then it'll ask you, how did you make a payment? And you could tell them, and they're like, do you have a receipt? And you could either end it there and say, I don't want to take a picture of the receipt, or keep going. And depending on how far it goes, you end up with like 50 cents.
You take a picture of your receipt. You're gonna die at 40 by eating like that.
That's pretty much what they're gonna tell you. But
how are you?
But like over the course of the 2 years that I've been using it, I've gotten a total of $82.
Oh wow!
349 surveys, and the last one I just did was 88 cents.
And the surveys are like what, 2-3 minutes long?
Not even. Sometimes they're video based. Like if you watch YouTube, like it'll pull up a video. Like I watched a guide on how to like spec FLAC for Borderlands 3. It'll come up with that video and it'll say, was this video, this survey is going to revolve around questions based on this video. And then you just click, yes, I understand, and just go through your questions, and they give you, because they're also, I think, trying to like figure out like how to like tailor stuff towards your liking if you're using YouTube. So, right. But anyways, I've not checked the service out. I think the services are cool. I think it's awesome. Like if there's a bunch of games that maybe you want to get the service so that your kid can try all kinds of different games on your Android or your iPhone, then you don't have to pay for it. You pay for one game and maybe your kid tries 2 or 3 games and they only like one game, and you're like, oh, well then it was worth the $4 instead of spending $5-6 on games, or $5 to $10, and then you're like, oh, well, she didn't like 2 or 3 of them, or he could be a he or so. Anyways, I think the service is cool. I think the best one though is the Xbox, and I'm hoping Sony has an answer for Xbox's pass for in the next console.
I think
Yeah.
I think they're gonna. I bet they try to convert PlayStation Now into that at some point. Because
So
like I just saw advertisement where you can get a whole year of PlayStation Now for $99, which is cheaper than
yeah, because it's
Xbox
$10 a
Game
month.
Pass. So,
Really
yeah,
nice.
because like I mean, and Game Pass is $10 a month, so that's $120, and you can get a year
Yeah,
of PlayStation Now for 99,
that's pretty good.
and plus all PS4 and PS2 games you can download now. So
Hmm.
So the name of that game is called Bleak Sword.
Oh yeah. Okay. No, I did see that.
That game
That game looks cool.
it's got an awesome style to it. Looks
Mhm.
really good. Well, I think Sony's problem was they bought into the streaming service when they bought that service to do PlayStation 3 games instead of backwards compatibility. And
Yeah.
that kind of screwed them. So I'm hoping when they bought that with the PS4 being backwards compatible, they take that jump into a Game Pass type thing where you can be like, all right. And I've always said this, like they need to upgrade the PlayStation Plus, like subscription and give us a tier where it's like, okay, well, you want to pay an extra like $2-3 a month. Well, here's Game Pass, and you'll get access to games, and it starts with all these classic PS4 games. So like some of that might be buying a PS5 or even just buying a PS4 when that comes out or whenever they launch the program. They get those games like all the classics, and they just added a bunch of games to the greatest hits. So they add all of those into that Game Pass, and just like there's a bunch of games you can have, and you're paying $5, whatever, an extra $2-3, so or maybe that you pay $10 a month, it could be the same price. But anyways,
So I'll chime in here. I think the services are good as far as how they affect developers. I really can't comment just because I don't know a lot about how that works, as Corey said. Now I would assume that, or I want to assume that these developers are being paid fairly to get their games on said services. I want to assume that, but I don't, because there's a general shittiness to the human race of late, but I'm not going to point that at anybody specifically. I think with like Apple Arcade, like that becomes like, since that's the new one that everyone seems to be genuinely positive about. I think Apple Arcade is actually a fantastic thing for mobile games, because mobile games have had a connotation for a very long time. At first, it was like, oh, but they're not real games. Then it was the hyper invasion of microtransactions and timed, like chess, or you have to wait so long for this to happen unless you pay however much, and then we don't even need to talk about pay to win and the idea of whales in mobile games.
that's the good thing about Apple, or well, theoretically, the good thing about Apple Arcade is like they're only games that don't have microtransactions.
I think that's 95% true. I think there are some games on Apple Arcade that have microtransactions. I might be wrong. I'm okay being wrong on that, but I think there are one or two. I don't know for sure.
But I think they might be like optional. Like there's
it's not like
cosmetic ones and ones.
Yeah, it's not pay to win, but it's still a microtransaction.
Right. No. I agree with that statement. But
I think that loot boxes are largely not involved in Apple Arcade.
No, I don't think so.
However, they're over the past, even in the past 5-6 years, probably going back as far as like 2010, there have been good, worthwhile mobile games that people just patently avoid because they're on mobile. You know, and like Microsoft put out a whole bunch of story games, like Game Dev Story. I think recently there's like Shopping Mall Story. Those games are really, really good because their stories go places as well as being interactive, and you know the player kind of creates their story. I mean, I loved playing Game Dev Story back in like 2009, 2010 because I was basically a game developer, and then eventually I hired some software and hardware engineers and started making my own consoles. And it was cool that I could sort of design the specs to these games. You know, I never saw the end product because that's not what it's about. It was about, you know, it was about the idea of putting out a game and seeing it get reviewed and whatever. But I loved the fact that, you know, my first console was called the Game Boob.
The Game Boob.
I thought that was I made myself laugh for way longer than I should have, but I liked that. And then you could pick if you get granular enough to pick like what the console looked like, and I thought that was fantastic as well. But then like story games like Year Walk and Device 6 and you know or Lifeline or like in the last year or so Florence or Heaven Will Be Mine, like there's a lot of cool things being done in the mobile space, especially the premium mobile space where you have to pay, you know, upwards of $5, possibly even $10 for a game on a phone. When people say, "Well, like, why would I do that when I can play Clash of Clans for free?" But like, are you playing Clash of Clans for free? Like, it didn't cost me anything. But how many armies or how many supplies have you bought for that game? Now there's going to be the outliers like, well, I've not spent a dime on it. What's your problem? Well, then clearly you are not my problem. But people who will disparage something they have to pay $5 up front and nothing ever again versus nothing up front and here they are spending $20 later. Like, and I think Apple Arcade will go a ways to change that perception, hopefully. But also, what happens when Sayonara Wild Hearts goes off of Apple Arcade? How much is it then? I don't know if Apple Arcade is. I don't know if those prices are known or whatever. But when you're paying $5 a month to access upwards of 100 games, what happens when those games leave Apple Arcade and you have to buy them? Like that's where we're gonna know what effect it has. And like Corey mentioned, Rocket League is an outlier among outliers because Rocket League was a good fucking game.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of games on PS Plus that were good games, but still, I can't say I would have paid for them outside of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of especially like games with gold too. Like there's a ton of games I probably would have never even touched, and I still haven't touched, to be honest with you. I just add them to my library and say, okay, well, I own this game now, I guess, as long as I pay my yearly subscription, you know.
Like and
yeah, but like the thing with like those is like if you're looking at the services, we've all like even you, Corey, like we've all like gotten our $50-$60 out of that subscription.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like there's been like Matt and I love indie games. There's been so many indie games coming out on PlayStation Plus, and then now like lately,
PlayStation launched with arguably one of the best indie games on the platform. Which I mean, I guess it's kind of published by Sony, but Resogun.
Yeah,
an amazing game that it just launched with for free. It's still free.
I think it's probably free again because after it went off of PS Plus, you had to pay for it.
Yeah, well, but it's still like it's free now. Like it's been free for. I mean, I think everybody who bought a PlayStation at launch just downloaded it and played it, right? But like, there's so many games. Like I'm going through my PlayStation Plus library right now. There's so many games that it's just like I would have never purchased this, but I own it now.
Yep.
You know.
Mhm.
So, and like some of the games, I'm glad I did like Helldivers when we played Helldivers that one time, all of
Mhm.
us together. Like that was
Right.
awesome. Still want to go back and play that at some point, but
Me too. But yeah, like I mean, they're. I think that it's. I think that from the dev side, if you're looking at a game like Rocket League, say, oh, all we have to do is get on that, and then everything is sort of set. Like it's that's not necessarily true because you also have to make a good game that people continually want to play. I mean, I remember I downloaded and played Rocket League before I had heard people talking about it, and I was immediately like, dude, I have to talk about this game with people. And it was like right as Platinum Achievements was starting up, and I'm like, we need to talk about Rocket League. Like we need to have a conversation about this. And I think it was when all five of us were still there. Like Antonio, Imran, and Chris were like, "What the Rocket League, really?" And then Spagnoli and I recorded like our own separate thing, like talking about Rocket League for like an hour, and we appended it to the podcast that week, and because that was a special thing, and I don't think we can, I mean, I like that Corey brought Rocket League up. We definitely have to recognize that is a severe shot in the dark. Like there's no way every game could even aspire to that kind of success.
I mean, the only other thing I can kind of compare, and it's not a PlayStation Plus game or anything, but like the only game I can really compare to Rocket League's success would be Fortnite. It's free.
Yeah.
You download it, you play it, and then that's like, I mean, that's all I can really compare it to, really.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know Fortnite is more popular than Rocket League, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised that Rocket League's still as popular as it is. What, 4 years later?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, a long time ago. But I mean, getting back to the heart of the question, like, I think it's good for developers to get exposure, but also like they shouldn't have to. They shouldn't. I hope they're being paid fairly for said exposure. I know Corey mentioned that like on Apple Arcade, it's like time played versus if your game is downloaded or not. I mean, I would assume PlayStation Plus and EA Access are paying the developers for putting them on these services. Same with Game Pass. Yeah, I want the people involved in these to be compensated. I think that's only fair. I'm gonna move on to Kim Strauss and all. Hey all, I've been watching your show on YouTube for a while now, never really having the urge to write in, but now I have. What are your thoughts on supporting a developer regardless of what you think of their leadership, aka BioWare and Respawn versus EA, or Borderlands, Gearbox versus Randy Pitchford? I mean Pitchford. Pardon my words. Those are Kim's words. She says, or he or she says. I'm assuming that's a she. She says thanks. That's a tough one. I know. Recently with Borderlands, and I know with Red Dead Redemption 2, we had to have that conversation, and I think that everyone has to come to it their own way. I think my decision to buy Red Dead and Borderlands fell on the fact that I still like, you could talk about Rockstar's business practices however you want. I still want. I still. I wanted those game. I wanted that game to be good, and it really is. It just I had a lot of problems with it also, but I also wanted the people working on it being forced to do crunch. If that were the case, I want them to be paid. Whereas Borderlands, Randy Pitchford is one guy in a studio of however many. The rest of those folks need to be paid.
yeah, like that's my thing too. Is like with Borderlands, I still want to finish like 1 and 2, and I know those are extremely long games before I play 3. But you know, I thought about that, and it's like you can't let one guy ruin it for everybody else, right? Like Gearbox is so much more than just Randy Pitchford, regardless of what you think of him, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can go either way on that. I don't even want to touch that argument because I don't even know or care, to be 100% honest, but like that studio deserves to be recognized more than what Randy is or is not doing behind the scenes. So, you know, Borderlands, that team probably worked super hard for a very, very long time, and they deserve to be rewarded for it. And by all accounts, it's a good game and people are enjoying it, right? Like, you know, I mean, I know I've heard people say they're a little bit disappointed in terms of like, okay, the other planets feel a little bit linear, or, you know, there's a couple things here and there. It just kind of feels
It's an
like
intergalactic series of hallways, for God's sake.
but people have that same complaint about Destiny all the time too, and it's like, you know, and that's the game they made, and I hope that they're super proud of what they made, and this is what, by all accounts, this is what they were going for. So I think you should support the developers more than the leadership of the studio. You know, there's a lot of names out there that people associate with studios, you know, good and bad. Cory Barlog, you know, he gives so much credit to Santa Monica every time he personally wins an award, or, you know, the studio. Like, that's the kind of guy that I appreciate in the industry, who like appreciates their team more than the award, you know. And that's why Santa Monica is one of my favorite studios out there. But that and God of War is pretty rad. I don't know if you guys knew that.
I mean, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Pretty good.
So that's my thing, is like, you got to realize that there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people working on games. Not just the one guy who might act like an idiot at some point. So
yeah, not just the figurehead of the studio who may or may not be a shitbag. Those are my words, not the words of Nerds Gone Rogue. So come at me, not the show.
You can come at me too, because I think he's a shitbag too. But,
all right, solidarity. Moose, your thoughts?
Yeah, none really. To be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moose is like, I just want to play games.
I figured this was teeing you up for a good old fashioned Moose anti-EA situation. I was really looking
like you have this struggle where, like, even now, even Epic is buying like exclusives for their store, and like it's just causing toxicity where it doesn't belong. Like, people want to shit on Borderlands for like what Randy's doing, and it's like all those developers that are making those games, it's like not their fault. Like, the publishers get access to the game and make these shady deals in the back end. And it's like, I wish Pitchford would just step away from Gearbox for a while. Yeah. It's a privately held company, so he can't be forced out, so he's got to step down. And it would be in their best interest if he would just shut the fuck up.
I mean, the only thing they can really do to get him to shut up is if 2K took Borderlands away, because it's their property. I mean,
that's true. That's true. And then,
but then you're putting hundreds of people out of jobs, and you're like, well, what's worse? What? Making an example out of Randy, or putting hundreds of people out of jobs, you know, that have families and need insurance and all this other garbage.
So I just think, I don't know, it kind of sucks. And EA just buying up companies and, you know, running them into the ground, and then, you know, closing them up. Like, you know, that's not, I don't like that. But, you know, what are you gonna do? I mean, it's the way the industry works. So I don't know.
I mean, I think
it just makes me more angry, and I don't want to be more angry.
I know. I hate having negative conversations on the show. Like, and it's not like this is a negative conversation, but there are negative aspects to it, and I'm like,
yeah,
dude, it's been like a long day and a long weekend and a long week. I just,
well, it's just. I mean, it also harkens back to like politics in games. And I know that I tend to be the one that thinks about that the most on this show, at least in my experience. If I'm incorrect, I apologize. But like I inextricably link, art and politics because all art has politics. Sometimes sometimes that's a lot harder to see than most. I mean, it's just like Ubisoft getting in front of Division 2. Yeah, our games have no politics in them whatsoever, but like early on in the Division 2, you see like strength through power, and like that's inherently a political statement. Like, I mean, that's exactly what that is. But I think that we may be, I mean, there's problematic faves throughout all media, and we all have them. I think that if you take the time to examine it and make a decision based on your own examination, you've done your job. And that would be what I would ask of somebody, more than say, hey, don't support Borderlands because there's one guy who happens to be the face of the product that's shitty, but the other several dozens of people below him mean nothing in this conversation. Right. No, that's no. No, that's just as short-sighted. But like, I mean, speaking of like people like Randy Pitchford, like he's not doing anything near as nefarious as Pitchford, but like Hideo Kojima is out on Twitter and social media trying to take all the credit for Death Stranding. And I think common sense is like, he's not the only one working on it. He's not at the computer by himself designing everything. But then also there's a translation aspect that could come into play here, that it might have been misinterpreted through translation. That's a possibility. But when seeing I think I saw a picture, I don't know if it was him that posted it, I don't know, but it was a picture of saying, hey, Death Stranding went gold, and he had a picture of all these people, but all of them had Hideo Kojima's face on it. So I'm hoping that was made by someone else.
It wasn't made by him.
But I'm pretty sure he retweeted it, which is real. Like, you kind of need to be better about that. And I say that as someone who has pre-ordered the thing.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of artists throughout history are pretty egotistical.
No, in a truer statement you have never made, but also, like,
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's
it's correct. It's totally correct. You have to be a bit egotistical to put art anywhere, especially if you want people to look at it. But I think that, like, I think the unnecessary Kojima worship starting to go to the man's head, and I am not going to be someone who says like he's not really done anything that good, because I'd be remiss if I thought Metal Gear Solid did not make an impact on this industry.
Or PT.
Yeah, or I mean PT specifically. Like it's a game
Zone
that
of the Enders.
Well, see, Zone of the Enders is the one that made the impact on me. I will talk about that. One of the reasons I'm playing Daemon X Machina, I would not be here without Zone of the Enders.
Snatcher.
I don't remember Snatcher. That's
a game I know by name only. I would not recognize it if you showed me a screenshot.
Yeah. Like I don't remember where I saw it, but like someone was, there was like a really beautiful looking vinyl of the soundtrack. I'm like, what the fuck is Snatcher? And then I looked at it, I'm like, Hideo Kojima. Yeah. And I guess it was, I don't remember where it was available, but I guess it was Japan only, I think.
I think Snatcher was Sega CD.
Yeah. I guess it was.
I think I'll look it up real quick, but yeah, it was like right after Metal Gear Solid or Solid Snake. Metal Gear 2. Solid
okay.
Snake, I think.
But yeah, no, I mean, the gaming industry has a lot to work on, and I think that you know, come to your own terms of supporting what you want to support. I think that's probably the overarching lesson here. Like we all have to do it. Don't just blindly follow people into the good night, because you might end up saying good night because of it. Yeah. So continuing on the Borderlands train, Deshaun the myth, or the man the myth the man the myth the legend, Deshaun Malone. What are your thoughts on Troy Baker's comments on not being in Borderlands 3?
I actually had to look this up because I didn't know.
Me too, because I was asleep
I
most of the
didn't.
day.
What?
Because I read the article and it's a good article.
I mean, I read the article, and
I didn't. I just read the headline. Couldn't be 100%.
now this is one of those things that if someone just sees it and reads the headline, like, and reacts to that, there's a lot you could miss.
I mean, I think Troy. To be fair, I think Troy Baker has a lot bigger things to be proud about now, with like The Last of Us 2 coming up, and all these other projects, Death Stranding, and he's basically in the next three biggest games coming out. He's in a significant amount. Like Death Stranding, Last of Us Part 2, Avengers.
Well, I don't know if the Avengers could be one of the biggest games. I mean, it's definitely.
Well, I mean, I think it's. I meant high profile, because I think Avengers is still, even depending on what people, doesn't matter what people think about it, it's still pretty high profile, just by name alone. So, I think it looks kind of bad, but that's just me. I haven't played it, haven't seen it. Just
you're not the only one.
I know. But I just want to make that caveat that I haven't played it, I haven't seen it running in action. I only see the leaked Comic-Con
I've
videos.
seen images, and I don't like what I've seen. So,
although I did hear that they did hire Sony Santa Monica's combat designer for Thor, so which means that it's gonna
maybe Thor will control pretty good.
I only want to play as Thor. No, I'll go back to the Ultimate Alliance.
And I actually understand the statement. Like the statements are Troy Baker said he couldn't work on Borderlands 3 because they refused to go union. Now, what that means, it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that Troy Baker's in Game Workers Unite's back pocket. What it means is Troy is the member of an actors guild. Specifically, I mean, I'm assuming screen and voice, but I know he's in at least voice. And as someone who has made very, very tiny films around the Philadelphia area, and I'd worked with actors and actresses that from between films had been accepted into SAG, which is the Screen Actors Guild. I could no longer work with those because I couldn't pay for them. I couldn't pay for a contract with SAG, could not pay their rates because I'm just one dude. I don't have money.
You don't?
Now,
oh man.
Unfortunately, no. Boy, but I wish.
Does that mean you're not paying me this week?
Man, I owe you. Well, we need to have a talk. And now Troy could feasibly work with Gearbox on Borderlands 3. However, when you are involved in a guild, especially a creative guild like the Actors Guild or Writers Guild or anything, if you do non-union work, the repercussions tend to happen in that situation. And that's where folks tend to, say people tend to get anti-union in this conversation because there's a perception that the union is holding that person back. when really like they're more saying if something were to happen to you taking this job, we can't help you. Does that make sense to either of you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think
Just-
that's
just
where
listening intently.
that's where Troy Baker's coming from. I think anybody else can have their own interpretation. And like Moose said, this was a good article, and I think it's something that needed to be addressed because a lot of people unions are a hot button issue in the gaming industry, and a lot of people tend to speak out their ass, myself included, when talking about it. But this one I actually did understand. So, thoughts, guys?
I mean, he did what he thought he had to do, and you know, I mean, I don't really have a lot to say about it. Like, I get it. Like, they do what they do, and they're good at what they do, and there's a union for a reason. And I think that, you know, I'm not smart in these types of things, although I am dealing with union stuff right now at work because I work at a Chevy dealership, and you know, the GM strike is affecting us pretty hard, to be honest. But you know, you have to do what you have to do, you know. So, and he did what he thought was best for him, and you know, Borderlands or Gearbox went a different way, and look, I'm sure he's not losing any sleep over it. I'm just gonna throw it out there, based on his
definitely
prior and future success. So.
I mean, I think if you were to talk to Troy Baker off the record, he'd probably be like, "Well, I'm not in Borderlands."
Well, to be fair, he didn't really work with Gearbox at all.
No, he
anyway,
worked
it
with
was with
Telltale.
Telltale, so I'm sure he doesn't give two shits about it.
I mean, I think he probably genuinely liked that character.
Oh, I'm liking a character is one thing, but you know,
Right. I mean, like I think like if you were to, the way he talked about his time as Reese, it's not the same caliber, but I think it was like in the same sense that Mark Hamill talks about being the Joker.
yeah.
Like,
I think the guy that replaced him did a good job.
oh, I do too. I've
to be
met
fair-
Reese in Borderlands 3, and he was. I mean, we can talk about the writing, but like I think that character did a good job because I think that they give enough reverence to that character's mustache in stupid fucking ways. But
I mean, I don't want this conversation to sound like we're taking anything away from the guy who replaced him, right?
word.
No, yeah, that too. I mean, hey, people got to work.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Making
and
money, gotta pay some bills.
maybe this role will get that guy another job, and maybe we'll be talking about him like we do Troy Baker in 5 years, you know, like
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
so.
I mean, yeah. So, like, I think Troy Baker handled this conversation correctly, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not mad at him. Not mad at anybody at Gearbox for going the way they did because they gotta do what they gotta do too. So
I'm not mad at anybody. I just
yeah, I'm actually like this is like yeah, I'm not really not angry at anybody on any side of this. So yeah, just everybody as you were. So that's it for questions,
yeah.
and we are done a minute early.
Ooh, look at
How's
us.
football season going for you, Corey?
Great. Browns put up 40 points yesterday.
They win?
Yep. It's a good time. They're 2-2.
against who?
The Ravens. We
Okay.
are now tied for first place in the division. And actually, if there is a tiebreaker, Browns are in first place because they beat the Ravens. So
Nice. Did you watch that Eagles game on Thursday, Moose?
No, I didn't, but I'm glad they won. So they're 2-2 now, and so they're tied for first place, I think, because Dallas is 3-1.
yeah, because they lost to the
Never
Saints
mind,
last
they
night.
did lose. So so actually they're still in second place. But
But still,
anyways,
that was
I think they play Dallas the second or third week of October, I think, as one of their 2 meetings.
Mhm.
So that'll be interesting to see how they do. But yeah, it was pretty good. Panthers are 2-2. They're doing all right. Their backup quarterback seems to be stepping it up. So
Now, is Newton still on a Panther or no?
he is, but I think he's hurt or
Okay.
something there. I don't. He's become
He
meme material because he's dressing like like a grandma going to church when he's doing his press conferences. So he's got this like handkerchief on his head and his hair's like, it's like, dude.
You know what?
What are you doing?
I'm gonna say it right now. Cam Newton, Dennis Rodman did it better than you ever will.
That's right. That's right. Because Dennis Rodman actually put points on the fucking board.
Rebounds in the column.
And helped win championships. I think Dennis Rodman got like multiple. 3? All right.
3 with the Bulls, 2 with the Pistons.
So he's got 5.
He's got 5.
That's what I thought.
I had one with the Spurs too. Like, I'm not positive on that, but
let's look this up.
Dennis Rodman was definitely. He's in the Hall of Fame because I've watched his speech multiple times.
Dennis Rodman has 5 championship rings.
Okay, so he did not win one with the Spurs. He won 3 in a row with the Bulls, probably on the best Bulls squad, probably the best squad in NBA history. Like, yeah. People want to talk about the Warriors. Nah. Bulls will destroy the Warriors. So yeah, so that Eagles game was fucking weird because I remember I watched like the first part of it and then like I said, you know what, I'm gonna take a nap before work, and I got to work and just checked the highlights and saw basically the Eagles have came back and won. I'm like, oh, all right, good for them.
Good for them.
I mean, I don't really have much of an allegiance in the NFL, but I will say this: I do not like the Packers. I never have. So when I see the Packers lose, it's a good day.
It is a good day. It's an even better day if freaking Bills could have did something, beat the Pats, but whatever.
You know what? You never. It's Buffalo.
I know.
It's Buffalo.
You never have high hopes for that.
I mean, so I'm sorry, Frank Clark. I really am. But like, it's Buffalo. Like,
look, I always root for Buffalo because they're always the underdog, you know, except for when they play the Browns once a year. But you know, this isn't the 90s anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
no Jim Kelly.
let's just say it's really weird when your claim to fame is that you went to 4 straight Super Bowls and lost them all.
It's fair.
Not taking away from that squad, because holy shit, that was a stacked squad. Just things just went against them. Like, that's just
the Cowboys too.
That's what
most of the reason.
What do you mean?
Cowboys in the 90s?
Yeah, but they only lost to the Cowboys once, I thought.
I think it was at least twice.
No, they lost to the Giants.
Who?
The Bills. Giants, Redskins.
I don't know what their record is.
No, when they went to 4 straight Super Bowls and lost.
Oh.
I think it was Giants, Redskins, 1 to the Cowboys, and then I don't remember the other.
Might have been Dallas twice.
Might have been Dallas twice. Very well could have been.
Let's see.
Yeah, Dallas in the 90s was a good squad. Emmitt Smith was a great running back. Primetime Deion Sanders. Yeah. Troy Aikman. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to look this up. 1990. No. Yeah. 1990.
I know they lost to Phil Simms and the Giants.
They lost to the Giants in 1990.
Mm-hmm.
They lost to the Redskins in 91.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys in 92.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Cowboys again in 93.
Okay. So yeah, I stand corrected. The Cowboys in the 90s did stop the Bills.
Womp womp.
But I would still argue that even at that time, like, it was probably a better squad on the Bills.
It was close for sure.
I mean, I think I would probably rate Thurman Thomas. Actually, Emmitt Smith, doesn't he have like the all-time rushing yards now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't really say Thurman Thomas over Emmitt Smith anymore. Like at the time, I probably would have rated Thurman Thomas over Emmitt Smith.
But I mean, it's the same argument that people have with Jim Brown being the best running back of all time. Like, is he though, or was he good at the time?
No, well,
he was just a monster at the time. You know,
he was a monster at the time, but I still think Walter Payton is considered the best running back of all time.
Yeah. No,
I mean,
here.
Well, yeah, because you're in the Midwest, you're in the. But. Well, yeah, Jim Brown. But I would say Walter Payton. I mean, Walter Payton and Jim Brown were definitely cut from the same cloth because they were on teams that were notoriously not great until that one time where Walter Payton was on a really good Bears team. But I think Walter Payton he probably did a lot more for a worse squad than Brown did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, there were stories written about him just getting the crap kicked out of him every single time. Whereas Jim Brown, he was just like, I'm not getting beat up. Everyone's just jumping on my back and they can't take me down.
Yeah.
But hey, we've been going long enough. Let's get out of here.
Form tackling.
This has been episode 165 of Nerds Gone Rogue. My name is Matthew Keel. You can find me at infinite_rewind everywhere. Come play games with us.
Yeah. Like
come talk to us. Keel, you can find me. Come talk to us. We'll
Hello? Hold on. Matt is now muted. Where did everybody's sound go? Hello? Hello? Everyone's muted. Can't hear anybody. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. That's not it. Did it, guys.
Hi, Corey.
Hi. I hear you now.
How much have we lost?
Just when you started doing the outro.
Okay. All right.
That's good for the stream. Everybody saw my Facebook page and everything, so.
Cool.
That's all right.
All right. Here we go.
Sorry, guys.
This has been episode 165 of Nerds Gone Rogue. My name is Matthew Keel. You can find me everywhere at infinite_rewind. That's PSN. That's Twitter. That's Instagram. That's, yeah. One of these days I'll start streaming. When and where, I'll let you know when that happens. Moose, you now have a day. You now have an extra day free in your week.
Mm-hmm.
An extra day for us to find you where.
You can find me at Sven, SVHENN, on PlayStation Network, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch, which I'll probably start. I need to get back to streaming. I've been doing a little bit here or there, so I just want to maybe get more regular schedule in the latter half of the week. And then you can find me here on Nerds Gone Rogue.
Corey.
Yes.
Take us home.
You can find me at CoreyNHD713 on Twitter. You can find me at CoreyNHD on Instagram and Mixer. You can also find us live on Monday nights on youtube.com/nerdsgonerogue and on podcast services. the following Monday, all edited. Also Spotify, also YouTube, also nerdsgonerogue.com. Check out our Facebook group. Follow us on Twitter at nerdsgonerogue, Instagram at nerdsgonerogue_official. Enter our giveaway, which is fast approaching. The end of that is coming. So, and you can find all of our content on nerdsgonerogue.com. I think that's it. So, I want to thank everybody so much for watching or listening and joining us. And until next time, we love you.
Banana and out.
You're welcome.
Bye, everybody.
Okay. I'm hanging up because I got to go to work. Love you guys.
Peace out, party people.
Bye.
Bye.